when is the best time to sell your home in the DC area is probably one of the most often time question that I get from anyone who lives in the DC area. Sometimes they aren't even sellers. They may not even own a home. And I think the question is really interesting because unlike some markets around the country, our market is very easily influenced by just a few things. And I'm going to tell you about, these are the reasons that our markets change. And I'll end with what are the times that are worst to sell your house. So really, our spring market is phenomenal. It really kicks off right around, the Super Bowl because what we're coming out of is the holidays, right? The holidays have wrapped. Everyone's been home around New Year's. They've set some really good intentions for the year that they're going to sell their house, and things can kick started right out the gate. The main influences that slow down that January and maybe February market, as you may recall, in the DC area, we can get a lot of snow, and we can get snow that stops kids from going to school. We can get snow that keeps you in your house for a week, things that can really prevent anyone from being able to make a move. They might not even be able to get out to see houses because the roads could be in such bad conditions. So our spring market really kicks off right at the new year, weather dependent. So you're going to see a lot of homes come on about, let's say, between mid-April to beginning of June is when you're going to see the biggest influx. So what is happening there is buyers are also coming out because of the same influences in the biggest chunk, I guess, of time. So all these buyers are coming out. They're going to start escalating prices for the sellers. So sellers love the spring market because you're getting competing offers, escalations. Your house is selling for more than what you listed it for, and you're getting waived contingencies. So that's the spring market of, that April to June timeframe. And going into the summer, about June to August, maybe around June, you can see more listings come online. But July and August, think about how there are a lot of people who leave town around those months, and they're not really able to focus on whether it's getting their home listed for sale, but also the buyers aren't here. They're taking their vacations, they're going to visit family, or maybe they've already made their moves this spring. So end of July, August, you're not going to see a lot of buyers come into the market. But as soon as, September hits, everyone's settled back, weather is still nice, they're not going to the pool, they're not distracted with all the barbecues really anymore. You're going to see September, October, even into the beginning of November, another influx of listings. The cool thing about that is we are pricing those listings based on all the escalated values of the spring. So just because you miss the spring market, it's actually not bad because what has happened is all of your prices have escalated, and now these are your comps that you're going to start pricing your houses on. So if you're listing in the fall, it's really not a bad place to be. So then going into the fall, I said even through the beginning of November is a really safe time to list a house or expect inventory to come on. And then you hit the holidays of Thanksgiving to Christmas, and there's just a lot of decorating going on. There's a lot of hosting going on. And that is not really a great time for people to be thinking about and prepping their home for a market. So that is how the spring market works, but also letting you know that the fall is still a really great time to sell in our area. And, as I promised, I would talk about also when are the bad times to buy. And I think I kind of already hinted on one, the weather. Even if we have prepped a listing for sale and it's March and we get this random snowstorm coming in, we always pause around snow. Everyone always takes a breather that weekend, and it is not worth days on market for you to put your home on when people are not, driving around on the streets, taking a look at houses. So snow is an influence there. Also going back to August, like people are not here. So please try to avoid putting your house on when the buyers are very distracted. There might not be a lot of inventory. So talking about supply and demand, the supply might not be there. So you could be one of the few and be able to land someone, but you tend to see a lot of that bigger influence in getting a good contract starting into September. And another influence that I have not talked about is government shutdowns. So in our area, when we have had a government shutdown, that really pauses a lot of people. They are not receiving their paychecks. They may not even know if they're going to have their job, especially in the recent economy. So when a government shutdown happens, if you're able to pause your listing for a moment, that could be something that could work to your benefit and wait for the government to open up again. That's the best way that I could describe when is the best time to list your house and kind of give those little nuggets to buyers of when do you expect to see more inventory come on. So, not too many times to avoid, but if you really time it wrong, it could really work against you. Please do not overthink the fall. It is still a really strong market. So, enjoy the spring market while we're here. And if you have any questions, of course, you can be in touch with us, Jillian Hogan Homes with Corcoran McInerney out of Alexandria, Virginia.